In this video, I'm discussing 5 signs of autism so that by the end of the video, you'll be able to identify an autism in somebody fast. Coming up. Hey guys, welcome back to the AspieWorld. I'm Dan. I have autism, ADHD, OCD and dyslexia. I make weekly videos on this type of content and mental health, so if you're new around here and you want to learn more, remember to hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you're notified when I upload a video. And if you're watching on Facebook, make sure to hit that like and follow this page so that you get every video that I post every day. So in this video, I'm talking about 5 signs of autism that I think are the most important, that people don't really discuss as the most important and most valuable, and the easy to spot in somebody if you're thinking, hey, somebody may have an autism spectrum condition. So before we get started, at the beginning of every single video, I read out comments from you guys from my Instagram account. Now, if you want to be featured in a video just like this, head over to my Instagram in the link in the description below, give me a follow and turn notifications on, so when I upload a story with a call to action telling you to ask me questions, I'll be able to read them out in a video just like this. Okay, so straight off the bat, Liam D16 said, how do I restore energy after an intense overload? Well, I would say that you would have to find some high calorific food like chocolate or some like sweets / candy, that kind of stuff to take straight away, because what you want is your energy levels to go back up. So you want something that's going to spike energy levels, and I would say that sugar is going to be your key here, but don't have too much of it because it could have an adverse effect later on. So just a little bit, kind of like in the Harry Potter movies where those like dark things, I can't remember what they're called, they kind of come over and it suck the life out of them, and then you have a bit of chocolate and then they feel better. Okay, so the next question here is from Maeve.McDonald XX, and they said, advice to neurotypicals on how to support ASD people. My advice for anybody who's neurotypical, which means not on the autism spectrum, supporting somebody with autism, is listen to the person and find out what makes them comfortable and find out what makes them triggered, because those are the 2 things you're going to be able to help most with in life. You reduce the triggering, but you increase the way that the person relaxes. Top tip. Okay, so the last question is from Oof Lol, and they said, what was it like growing up with autism? It was interesting. It was isolating. I felt quite alone. I didn't have a diagnosis until I was, in my 20s. That's an official diagnosis. So I would say that it was challenging, but also interesting, because I got to experience things that other kids didn't. Like, I was really interested in computers, so I was like way ahead of other kids when I was growing up with computers and technology and like VR and things like that. So it was interesting. I'll just leave it at that. Again, guys, make sure to follow me on Instagram. The link is in the description below, or you can find my name on the top here somewhere. It's at TheAspieWorld. Hey everybody, welcome back. It's so awesome to be doing another video. This week is actually World Autism Awareness Week 2019, so sorry if you're watching this in the replay like months later, but it's super awesome to actually be in World Autism Awareness Week, and I am raising money for the National Autistic Society. So if you're interested in purchasing one of these t-shirts, I'll leave somewhere on the screen, you can actually do so in the link in the description below, and 100% of the profit actually is donated to the National Autistic Society. Just trying to do my bit for charity and autism and spreading support and awareness. Guys, if you want to let me know how you found this video or where you're coming from, leave me a comment in the comment section below. I read and reply to every single comment, so I'd love to have that discussion with you. Okay, so basically, guys, I wrote down a list. I wrote down a list of things, 5 things that I think are most important to talk about when thinking, oh, does this person have autism, or does this person, could they be on the spectrum? A lot of people now are finding it more easy to spot autism in people because of videos like this and information that you find. You go, oh yeah, that's an autism spectrum condition, and I feel like this is the reason why we make these videos, because people need to really see, the signs and stuff, and how to pick up and how to spot if somebody is going through something, because and they're not just being difficult. This is something very interesting. So I've compiled a list here of things that I find quite interesting, and they're quite individual to a person with an autism spectrum condition. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to talk about here is eye contact. Now, if you're trying to think like, my kid is acting a bit differently to the other kids, and that's cool, but we're wanting to know what it is. This is kind of what I'm trying to explain in this video, is that this is how you can kind of spot what may be going on here. Now, eye contact is a big one. Eye contact is very difficult and challenging for most people on the autism spectrum, because there is an uncomfortable feeling of looking into somebody's eyes. It's like reaching into their soul, and like, this is a big issue. It's a big issue for people on the spectrum. It's a big issue for adults, children, it doesn't matter age, it just does impact their lives. Now, when you're avoiding eye contact, people find this type of behavior suspicious. I find it like, it's not really suspicious because I'm so used to not making eye contact with people. I find it just normal. Why wouldn't you not make eye contact, you know? But a lot of people want to make intense eye contact. Like they feel like that's like the norm or the social norm. So if you are seeing someone with a behavior where they're not making eye contact for longer than a few seconds, like looking and looking away, finding it difficult to make eye contact and maintain eye contact, this could be down to the fact that they may be on the autism spectrum, and this is a big issue. Now, just a little hack for anybody watching this video who is on the spectrum. What I tend to do, and a bunch of other autistic individuals do, is I'll look at the nose or the cheek or the forehead of a person when they're talking to them, which gives the illusion that they're actually looking in their eyes when they're actually not. That's kind of a cool hack, right? So eye contact, a big one, definitely a big one to look out for when you're trying to think, you know, is this an autism spectrum condition? Well, we can use this as a checklist, almost like an autism checklist. Like, do they have poor eye contact? Are they able to maintain eye contact? Something to note when you're going to go and consult with somebody who may be diagnosing you. Okay, so number 2 is issues with social skills. Now, autism impacts the social and communicative part of a person's brain and how that communication processes into how you interact with the world and people. Now, social interaction is kind of like a given norm that people understand social cues and social gestures and all this kind of stuff. As they grow older, they come to understand these through socializing, because it's kind of like the unspoken rules of conversation, unspoken rules of social situations and socializing, where somebody could be gesturing with their hands, they could be suggesting stuff with their body language, because I'm thinking that about 70% of all communication is non-verbal. So these things are difficult for people on the autism spectrum to pick up on. They have an issue with that communicative part because their brain is wired just a little bit differently in that area, and so trying to pick up those social cues that would have been kind of unwritten, just normal, typical things that you'd learn growing up, this person with an autism spectrum condition wouldn't have had that opportunity to really pick that up. So knowing where someone is awkward and not really knowing when someone is gesturing something, not knowing when it's their turn to start speaking, stop speaking, how long they should talk for, how close they should stand to somebody, how far away they should be, the volume of their voice, all these things are very difficult for people with an autism spectrum condition or a diagnosis. Now, that being said, I'm not saying that people with autism can't socialize. They can, but they may have challenges and additional issues with that you may need to spot. And again, this is an easy one to go, oh, well, my friend Bob is displaying these traits, maybe he's on the spectrum. Okay, so number 3 is routines. Now, routines are very important. Now, people with an autism spectrum condition like routines and structured routines because they like that repetitive behavior of doing the same thing over and over again, and they may do a lot of things like over and over and over again, like running a bit of a song or a bit of a movie just to watch those bits, and that is awesome. Now, this extends into their daily life, how they get up, where they sit to eat their cornflakes, what they eat for breakfast, what time they get up, what time they go to bed, how they... Now, on the contrary to that, if the routine is changed and this change in their routine is disrupted, then a person could become very, agitated, upset, distressed, could cause a meltdown. So changes in their routine could cause them a lot of distress. This is why people with autism like their routines. They like getting up at a certain time, like doing that same thing, having those same clothes, doing those same things. They love that stuff. And it's because it's having that relationship to knowing what's coming next and knowing that there's no ambiguity and knowing that there's no what ifs and stuff. You know exactly what's going to happen, but when there's a change, it's a bad thing. So maybe think about this. If you know somebody who is really strict on their structure and routine and don't like to waver from that and get into different change, then you may find that they are on the spectrum. And I'm not saying that everybody who doesn't like change or does enjoy routine is on the spectrum. I'm just saying that if you have that compiled with all the other things that I'm talking about, it's a strong possibility that person is on the autism spectrum. Okay, so number 4 is like my personal thing to talk about, is obsessive interest. Now, a person with an autism spectrum condition will have an obsessive interest, a specialty interest that they hyperfixate on or they hyperfocus on, and they just do it until they learn everything about it, want to be the most knowledgeable person on it. They want to be obsessed with it and just constantly just absorb into that environment of just that thing that they're really into. So for me, it's conspiracy theories. Ironically, I'm wearing a conspiracy theory hoodie right now, but I did a video on conspiracy theories because I'm so obsessed with it. I love talking about aliens and stuff. Now, I learned everything there is to know about it. I've stayed up all night, downloaded NASA files, on their website, Freedom of Information files, all this kind of stuff, just to learn about like aliens and stuff like that. Like, I'm obsessed. Now, I know people who are on the spectrum who are obsessed with like Marilyn Monroe and have been to visit where she used to live in America and knows like everything there is to know about Marilyn Monroe, and I think that's amazing. So having a specific topic of interest, sometimes it could be like Minecraft or Pokemon, Thomas the Tank Engine or Power Rangers or whatever, and it could be something that they really enjoy, so much so that they're like an expert on it. They know everything there is to know about it. It could be Marvel comic books or Disney or anything, right? This is something very useful to remember, because people with an autism spectrum disorder do actually really just submerge into that world of just that one thing, and I love that. I love that they do that. I love that I do that. I love that, you know, we as a community do that. It's something cool, but it's something to look out for. If you're trying to think, you know, is my brother or sister or whatever on the autism spectrum? Well, maybe, and this is why. So this is something to remember. Hyperfixation, obsessive interest, like literally obsessive. Okay guys, so number 5 is sensory processing disorder. Now, I did a video all about sensory processing disorder and hacks and tips and tricks, and I'll try and leave that in a card above here so you guys can check that out at the end of this video. But right now, sensory processing disorder, or SPD, is basically where someone is over or understimulated to sensory stimuli from the environment. It could be smells, it could be taste, it could be touch, it could be noise, it could be lights, it could be certain sounds in the distance, and those things could really irritate a person. And the communication from the, you know, just being cold in a room or too many people in a room, as the volumes raise a little bit higher, not maybe for the neurotypical person, but for the person on the spectrum, this could become an issue. It could cause meltdowns, like the clothing tags, labels at the back of clothing. It could be a texture of food that they may not like. It could be the smell of food in the next room that could trigger something and make them feel, you know, really anxious or upset or distressed. Now, this is very interesting. Sensory processing disorder actually impacts a whole bunch load of things in a person with autism's life, and it's just a very disruptive pattern, and it comes comorbidly with autism. There's no actual diagnosis for just sensory processing disorder. It actually comes as a comorbid condition with an autism diagnosis, kind of like ADHD comes quite comorbid with an autism diagnosis also. But SPD really impacts and affects the people's lives in a big way, down to a lot of things like proprioception and muscle work and things like that, and it's their positioning in space. Sensory processing disorder impacts loads of aspects of a person's life if they're on the autism spectrum, and I would say that this is one of the key pinnacle ones to see if somebody may be on the autism spectrum. Guys, this was a fantastic video to make. I had a lot of fun doing this, and I like to share these things with you guys. Like I said, it's World Autism Awareness Week. If you want to share this video to help somebody, that would be amazing, because I feel like by doing videos like this and sharing them, we're going to be able to touch everybody and, you know, educate the world in understanding autism from an autistic person's perspective, and just getting a little more acceptance in the world, because that's what we're all after. So thanks for watching this video, guys. Give it a thumbs up if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time, guys. Peace.